Spin West.
Okay, everybody, thank you for continuing to have this conversation in the heat. Right, it's hot, and you guys are still enduring this as we have an important conversation. I want to take a minute to thank my family that's here. I have my son Jay, who's 14, who's having an opportunity to have this conversation, really almost for the first time outside of our home. And then I have my wonderful, amazing, very attractive husband, Paul, here with me. I'm so blessed to have him be my best friend and a partner of a lifetime. Just in case you don't know, Paul turns 50 next weekend. Sorry, a young, good-looking 50. But yeah, Paul turns 50. So I just put some remarks together knowing that I have the opportunity to speak to everybody. So thank you for being here and listening as we have this conversation. At this moment in our nation's history puts me in a place of both reflection and reverence. As I ponder recent social upheaval and unrest, I'm reminded of the words of our founding fathers, whose cataclysmic ideals brought about social change. Their words, out of many, we are one. Equal protection under the law, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These words resonate today because they were unique, eloquent, powerful, and demanded a move towards equality for all mankind. As a nation, we have not always extended America's promise to all our people. With these monumental shifts in our social fabric, we could not escape our propensity for horrendous oppression, like Japanese internment camps, segregation, Jim Crow, fire hoses, Bloody Sunday. Great men of American history like John Lewis and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and countless freedom fighters have challenged us to live up to our first principles. I'm reminded of a speech given by a former slave who became a statesman. And in a speech on the 4th of July in 1852, Frederick Douglass extolled the rich inheritance of justice, liberty, prosperity, and independence bequeathed by your fathers is shared by you, not me. The sunlight that brought light and healing to you brought stripes and death to me. The 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice, but I must mourn. Frederick Douglass goes on to discuss the vast hypocrisies, inconsistencies, and doublespeak of the American founding. His words transcend time and place. In those words, Frederick Douglass is speaking even now. Frederick Douglass understood the promise of every American enshrined in our founding documents. Douglass did not want to dismantle America, but he wanted us to embrace the true meaning of our founding documents and extend liberty to all men. And he reminded a newer America then, regardless of color or creed, that the Constitution is a glorious document. I stand here today in a path of many freedom fighters asking the same question. 100 years after Douglass, in his I Have Been to the Mountaintop speech, Dr. Martin Luther King said, "All we say to America, be true to what you said on paper." Once again, we are going to be challenged to live up to America's promise. Now, I'm a local guy. I was born and raised in North Portland. I was taught to believe by my parents and my teachers who told me that we were all created equal. They also promised that the future would be better than the past. I learned the golden rule, to love my neighbor as I love myself. But I also learned that America did not always live up to her first principles and ideals, universal truths that our society does not live up to today. Folks would describe me as a lot of things: a father, a husband, a nurse, an advocate for change, and a friend. I have fought for the honor of many of those distinctions. My family fought for legitimacy, to be recognized as a real family under the law. My son needs to know that his dads had the right to marry, so that when he has a family of his own, he will hopefully look to our example. Marriage is bedrock. It's an institution that submits families to their community. We need that stability to provide good examples and give him the most enduring place. After winning our lawsuit in 2014 that allowed all loving couples to marry, we took that momentum and began our work towards freedoms in the legal system that trapped our children in state institutions. They have been denied a sense of permanency with a forever family. All too often, we've heard personal stories of children and the abuse while in state care. Secretary of State Dennis Richardson partnered with us to address key areas that needed reform. Our work together shed light into the dark recesses of those institutions that imprisoned our children, a disproportionate number of children of color and LGBT. In our landmark audit, we helped expose neglect and rampant abuse of these children. After the state audit, I spent many days pacing the halls of our state capitol in nursing scrubs, having just left my graveyard shift to make sure legislators took action. Representative Neron and Senator Thatcher can attest to my singular focus for children languishing in foster care. The policy reforms that we fought for address inequities in education, would fund CASA for every child, improve health and safety, and would end the practice of children languishing in state care, and would provide more adoption opportunities. But most importantly, would provide resources to keep struggling families together. My work highlights the areas that need to be the continued improvements. Unfortunately, Clackamas County juvenile justice is only granted to those who can afford it. We have found that children of color, children who live in state care, or those who may financially be unstable do not have equal justice under the law. Thanks to God's grace and your support, I've had the opportunity of a lifetime to serve the community of Wilsonville. However, I have to be honest. In my house, there have been too many tears. But as we say in our family, we will get through this. It's not right. And it's not fair. And it's not acceptable that in this country and in this period of time, the parents of black children are teaching survival skills before the ABCs and arithmetic, and that must change now. As the father of a black son and the husband to an amazing man who I mentioned earlier, I am fully aware that we still have so much to do. Now is the time for change, and it cannot wait. Courtney Neron's here, by the way, your state representative. Our legislative session is just around the corner. And I implore you to join me demanding our elected officials to finally begin to make vulnerable children a priority. I don't want to see another foster care child continue to be on the pathway to the penal system. I'm not here as your city councilor, although I am. I don't stand before you as a future mayor, though I intend to be. I am here as an ally, a friend, brother, sinner, and fellow pilgrim on the road towards equity and progress. Let us begin today. Let us all live up to America's promise. Thank you for coming out today.